Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and I'm about to do a review for you guys of the Samsung Galaxy Exhilarate from AT&T. It's got a dual-core processor, a 4-inch Super AMOLED display, and it's an LTE phone, but the cool thing is that it's only $50 on contract, which is a pretty awesome price for a phone like this. So I'm going to do a review, tell you guys about it. Before we start that, I have to say special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They send us the phones that we add to our One Paw Bandit game. One of the nice things about Best Buy Mobile is that when you buy a phone from them, you don't have to worry about rebates because the price on the tag is a price you pay. So thank you Best Buy Mobile for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this review. It's a review of the Samsung Galaxy Exhilarate. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's get started. So the Galaxy Exhilarate is one of those phones that really makes you do a double take on the price tag because it's really a bargain. It's $50 right now on contract. And with that, you get a phone with a dual-core processor, a 4-inch Super AMOLED display, a 5-megapixel camera that captures HD video. I mean, really, it's a great all-around package. And maybe it's not like one of the high-end phones like the Galaxy S3 also by Samsung, but for the price, for $50, at least on paper, this is one of the best phones that you can get. Now, we're going to find out how it performs, but I can tell you just, as a spoiler, it really is one of the best phones that you can get on at this price. So to start off with, like I said, 4-inch Super AMOLED display, not Super AMOLED Plus, but still Super AMOLED gives you great colors, great saturation. You can see here, we see this all the time, the video doesn't do it justice, but even on camera, the colors just look very bright and they look great. And one of the things about Super AMOLED Plus displays is that they make the display look better even if it doesn't have the best resolution. So the Galaxy Exhilarate has its display has a resolution of 480 by 800, which isn't awful. I mean, that's a good resolution, but it's not like HD displays that we have today. But having the Super AMOLED technology, it just makes it look better. If it was just 480 by 800 with nothing else really added to it, it's kind of like, all right, that's not a bad display. I mean, you can kind of see some pixelation once you get close to the text. But having, those bright colors, that rich and deep saturation, it just really makes it look so much better and kind of masks some of its flaws. So great display, 4-inch. Having a display of 4 inches for some people, that's a nice sweet spot. We have a lot of displays nowadays that are like 4.5 inches, 4.7 inches. For some people it's too big, for some people that's a great size for display. But 4 inches I think is still a good sweet spot for a lot of people. I know especially for me it's one of the sizes that I like for a display, so the Quick Brown Fox. This is Samsung's virtual keyboard, and then the phone also comes with the Android keyboard and swipe. So you do have quite a few options here, but again, having that 4-inch display, it just means that typing is going to be pretty comfortable. You have, for most people, the size of the thumbs, you're going to have enough room to move around. And then, if you have just really ginormous hands, you can move it into landscape mode, and we'll use swipe. Although swipe is a lot easier to use when you're actually in portrait mode. So yeah, good size for display, and we'll talk more about the messaging interface when we talk about software. But good size, 4 inches, and the Super AMOLED looks great. As I mentioned, 480 by 800, so that gives you a pixel density of 233 pixels per inch. So again, not fantastic, but still looks very good. Samsung hardware, which for some people is, some people love it, some people hate it. Samsung is known to use plastic a lot, even in their high-end devices like the Galaxy S3. It's still just plastic, and so that means it's going to be very lightweight, but then some people don't like how it kind of feels cheap and plasticky, which makes sense since it's made out of plastic. But so the Galaxy Exhilarate, really nothing different there. I will say that it is pretty thick. Now, it's an LTE device, and so that kind of makes sense. LTE devices are typically thicker because of the LTE radio. There's some more expensive phones where the battery is non-removable. They found ways to make them thinner, but for a budget-friendly device like this, it's going to be thick. It's about 0.46 inches thick, so nearly half an inch thick. and you know, kind of a mediocre design here. It's all just one color, so it's pretty monochrome. Now you can see on the bottom here we have 4 capacitive buttons, so this does ship with Android 2.3. So you've still got 4 buttons here, and then, you know, once you move into Android 4.0 and 4.1, then this kind of changes. But for the time being, you've got 4 menu, home, back, and search. On the left side, volume rocker button. On the bottom, micro USB port with the microphone. Micro SD card slot is actually on the outside, which is kind of unique. You don't really see that a lot nowadays. It used to be you know, pretty popular, but nowadays the micro SD card slot is a lot of times underneath the battery cover or even underneath the battery. So having it on the outside, I personally love that, but it's, you know, for some people it won't matter. But it is very easy to get to. The phone supports up to 32 gigabytes of internal memory, external memory. It has 4 gigabytes of internal storage. However, keep in mind that a lot of that is taken up by some bloatware, we'll call it. So you can see AT&T Family Map, AT&T Ready to Go, AT&T Navigator, featured apps. So, you know, you've got, you know, live TV. You've got quite a bit of apps installed out of the box, and so you don't really have access to the 4 gigs of internal storage, but you can use a card. It doesn't ship with a card, as you can see, but you can still use one. And then you've got the power button and the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and then a second mic here for noise cancellation. So as I mentioned, Android 2.3, as you can see, TouchWiz installed over it. This is one of the newest versions of TouchWiz outside of, you know, what we're seeing on the Galaxy S3, but still a very recent version. And one of the nicest things about this, besides all of the visual refinements that Samsung has made, you know, in the past, TouchWiz was very cartoonish and was just a little too colorful for some people. But Samsung's made a lot of refinements, and so as you can see, it's kind of toned down a little bit more. We go to the app drawer here, and you know, everything doesn't kind of pop out in your face. It's kind of more refined, but also the widgets are resizable, which is a very nice feature. I love this feature. It's one of the best new features of TouchWiz, and so you can do a long press, and then the grid lines will show you the different sizes that you can use. And the same thing with the weather widget. Of course, I have things on this homepage, so I can't make it larger, but you can see different sizes. The email widget, again, different sizes. So just a really nice feature there, because, you know, every custom UI comes with its own widgets. You know, HTC is famous for its widgets, and they look great. I love this weather widget, but you know, I would like to be able to resize those widgets. You know, on HTC Sense, I would love to be able to resize those widgets. And if you can't, then it's like, well, it's too big, so I just won't use it. But with TouchWiz, you can resize them, and so it makes them a whole lot more useful and practical. You've also got a new way of, you know, adding widgets and changing your wallpaper. So TouchWiz, some nice refinements. It's come a long way, and it looks great. I'll take you back to the messaging interface. You can kind of see basically what it looks like. We can use this in landscape mode. It really has come a long way, and TouchWiz is now one of the best UIs out there on the market because of the improvements that Samsung has made to it. So let's go back and take a look at some of the apps that you get out of the box. You can see All Share, Amazon Kindle, AT&T Family Map, AT&T Navigator, AT&T Ready to Go, featured apps, Keys Air, Latitude, Live TV, Media Hub. This is an AT&T Messages app. So you get quite a few pre-installed apps here. My AT&T Social Hub, which is a social networking aggregator, then YP Mobile, a couple of other apps. Some of these can be uninstalled, but for the most part they can't. So if we go to Manage Applications, you can see like Amazon Kindle, I can uninstall that. Also, I think AT&T Messages, I can uninstall that. But if we go to AT&T Navigator, you cannot uninstall that, and probably the same with AT&T Family Map. You can't uninstall that. So, you know, some of them you can, and some of them you can't. Featured apps, you can't uninstall that. So it kind of just depends. So there is a lot pre-installed out of the box, and so uninstall the ones that you can, but at least you have the SD card slot if you need more memory.